It's been almost 100 years since the first Academy Awards was held in 1929. And while there's so much about the ceremony that has changed since then, there are some things that haven't, and that's their African representation.
We all know that the Oscars has struggled with diversity in the past, but in recent years, things have gotten a bit better. For example, in this year's Oscars, there are some standout black performances that are being celebrated. For example, we have Cynthia Erivo for Wicked and Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing.
Both incredible performances. But this isn't totally the Oscars' fault. Film and entertainment industries around Africa, we're still getting our sea legs. We're still pretty much in our infancies. But that doesn't mean that we don't deserve to be included and celebrated at the Academy Awards.
As we move on our way to that, here's the history of African films and talent at the Oscars.
So to be totally honest with you, the history is super confusing. There's not a whole lot out there about African films being included in and celebrated at the Oscars throughout the 20th century. The little that we do know about the projects that were highlighted were almost exclusively projects created by white immigrant Africans. We actually had a really interesting debate about this. Should these projects be included in this list? Do they count as African projects? Honestly, that's a video for a whole different day, and if you want it, let us know in the comments. But what we do know for a fact after our research is that without a doubt, projects created by, directed by, and championed by white immigrant Africans have been way more celebrated in the past than their black counterparts. The first Arab film to be submitted to the Academy Awards was Cairo Station by Yusuf Chahine. It was submitted by Egypt in 1959, but sadly it didn't get the nomination. It was directed by Italian-Algerian filmmaker Gillo Pontecorvo and shot in Algeria. The first white African film to be nominated for an Oscar was 1969's Z, a political thriller directed by Greek-French filmmaker Costa Gavras. It went on to win the Oscar in 1970. Rashid Bouchareb's 1995 film Dust of Life marked the first time a non-white African film was nominated at the Oscars. In 2005, Tsotsi, a South African film directed by Gavin Hood, won the Best Foreign Language Film Award. It became the first African film not in French to win that category. It's also the last African film to win an Oscar, and we hate to see it.
While there have been some Africans who have been celebrated by the Academy Awards, it's no secret that colonialism and racism played a part in African filmmakers being excluded from the Oscars in the past. Despite this, there are some notable Africans who have made history and opened doors for the rest of us. The first two Africans who have been recognized by the Oscars were both white South African-born British actors. Basil Rathbone was the first, and he was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Romeo and Juliet in 1937. The second was Cecil Kellaway, and he was also nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Luck of the Irish in 1949. In 1963, Egyptian actor Omar Sharif became the first non-white African to be nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Lawrence of Arabia. In 2004, Beninese actor Jimon Hunsu became the first black African to be nominated for an Academy Award when he was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role for In America. He was nominated again in 2006 for the classic Blood Diamond. Going back to 2004, South African actress Charlize Theron made history as the first African to win an Oscar when she won Best Leading Actress for Monster. In 2014, Kenya's own Lupita Nyong'o made history as the first black African to win an Oscar when she won Best Actress in a Supporting Role for 12 Years a Slave.